guys, it's Izzy and welcome back to my channel. Video I'm going to be doing a Q&A all about driving, as I feel like having passed like 4 or 5 months ago now, I feel like I've gained a lot more experience than I had last time I spoke about it. So I asked on my Instagram for some questions and I'm basically just going to answer them. For those of you that don't know anything about my whole process of driving, I do have multiple videos which I'll link up the top, but I will quickly run you through it. So I drive a Motability car, I drive a Ford Focus, and it does have adaptations in it, such as I drive with hand controls rather than pedals, and I drive an automatic. I just wanted to put that out there so I don't have to answer questions that obviously people already know. If you've not watched any of the videos I've done before about my car and driving, then I'd suggest watching them before watching this one, as this is more of an update. As always, I asked on Instagram for the questions, so if you ever want to be a part of one of these videos, make sure to follow my Instagram. It's just its.is. I'll leave it on the screen now. But yeah, I'm just going to go through, answer some of the questions that you guys asked. The first question we have is, what's your favourite feature on your car? Ooh, this is a really good one. One feature I've really utilised towards the end of last year was my heated seat. It's really cold in the UK, so that's always really useful. I also really like that my windscreen of my car is actually heated as well, which means I don't have to scrape the ice off that. When I was going to school towards the end of last year, like in December, if I had to go to school in the morning, my car would be frozen, so I'd have to de-ice it, and I can't reach the windscreen. I'm really grateful that that's heated. I didn't really pay much attention to this when I was buying cars, but that's something now that I'm really grateful that I have on my car, because it would have been a pain otherwise. I would have just had to sit and wait for it to melt like naturally, which obviously would have took forever. That's something really useful that I wasn't necessarily looking for, but I'm so grateful I have it on my car. As for other things, I really like how easy it is to link my phone to my car, just be playing music and stuff. I just think that's cool, like who doesn't want that? So yeah, there's a practical feature and a fun feature for you. So that's probably my favourite ones on my car. So somebody else asked, what's the driving test process like? Now, I did speak about my driving test in full, so obviously if you want more detail, go watch that whole video. However, I did just want to speak about this again because I was really uncertain of what would happen with my test, because I just knew like how it happened if you were able-bodied. In the UK, you have to do a theory test. I rang up and booked this over the phone. That's what it says to do if you want any extra help. Originally, I was going to get somebody to scribe for me, as that's what my exam concessions at the school I would have. However, with COVID, they basically said this wouldn't be possible because they had been given no guidance on how to do this under COVID regulations, so I opted out of that in the end and just did it on my own. I also asked for extra time, however I didn't use this in my theory test. I then also did it in a room by myself just so I could have more space and everything, so that's how that went, and I just rang up and booked that over the phone, which is quite a normal way to book your theory test. Quite a few other people do it like that. Then for my practical test, I actually just booked this online. Now, it was really difficult for me to book my test with COVID regulations. They were only releasing certain ones, whereas normally you would be able to book it easier. So I had to wait in a queue one morning. Luckily, my mum was really at the front of the queue. It disclosed on the website that you have a disability, then you have to have a disability driving test slot. This is for your practical test. Basically, it just means it's longer, so they have more time to go over the different adaptations you have, and your disability, basically just so you have a little bit more discussion time. So I actually booked these. From my experience, they were more available than the normal tests. For instance, I could have booked for the next week, but that would have been stressful, so I was able to book about a month in advance. Then my driving instructor actually rang the test centre, basically just to prep them for me, my driving abilities, what I needed and stuff. I actually asked for some of the show me tell me questions to be removed because my physical abilities, I couldn't do that. And then she also gave them a list of the adaptations I have. This is because on the back of your license, I now have certain coding, meaning that I can only drive with that coding. So she had to hand over that in advance just to make my actual test day quicker. And then the final thing she suggested is that instead of me having to get out of the car, I would just be able to sit in the car the entire time. So my examiner actually came and met me in the car rather than outside. Then the actual physical driving test went the same as anybody else's would. I hope that explains. Obviously different countries have different things, this is just how mine worked, but I would assume it's a similar sort of process. But ring your test centre or get your driving instructor too, just to see how their procedure works. Yeah. What is your favourite part about driving? My favourite part about driving is definitely the independence that it gives me. With my disability, I would never really walk very far or get public transport, so it means I can go out on my own and keep up with my friends because I can drive places now. So instead of us walking ages to McDonald's, I can suggest that we drive to McDonald's because I have a car to do so. That's always what I've wanted, so that's why I was so eager to learn to drive, because I wanted independence, and I definitely feel like I have that now I've passed. Is there anything about your current setup that you change in hindsight? Honestly, I don't think so. I'm trying to think. I absolutely love my car and there is nothing that I'm like, ugh, this is annoying or whatever. So honestly, no, I don't think I would change any of it. Someone's asking, did I learn in Instructor's car or my own car? I learned in my own car and also did my test in my own car, just because it had all the right adaptations on for me. Yeah, it's just the easiest thing to do, and my driving instructor obviously was fine with that. Next question is, could you hire a car abroad? As far as I'm concerned, there are a few adaptations on hire cars that you can like get, but I think with the level of adaptations that I need on my car, it won't be possible for me to hire a car. So no, I can't really drive a car abroad, unless obviously I was to travel with my car, but honestly I probably wouldn't. So someone says, have you crashed? No, I haven't crashed. I've not even had a near crash, to be honest. Yeah, no, I haven't crashed. I know one of my friends, she crashed so soon, like nothing serious, but she did crash into another car so soon after she passed her test. But I've not had that yet. I think obviously because I have parking sensors front and back, that's the safety. And then my car also has like braking features, so if I get too close to another car, it sets off a sensor and alerts me and stuff. So I think because my car is like really technologically advanced, it prevents anything from happening, really. So the next one is, have you filled it up yourself? Yes, I do actually fill my own car up myself. Now a lot of people have asked about this and are like, how do you fill it up? And I will show you one day, maybe. But obviously at the moment I'm just going to the petrol station on my own because of COVID. So I've actually only filled it up completely there on my own once, but I did it a few times with my dad sat in the car in case I needed any help, but I've only gone on my own once. My car has diesel in it, so obviously I put diesel in it. And yeah, I always do, I've done pay at pump rather than going in. Once you like open your fuel thing, you know, like the thing on the outside that's the same colour as your paint, mine actually doesn't have a cap or anything on it, you just put the fuel nozzle in. So that makes it really easy for me to just get it in and out. And yeah, I've not actually found any issues doing that. I think obviously it varies garage to garage. I only fill it up at the same place just because I know that I can do that now. So yeah, if I ever move, I will have to find that exact petrol station so I can fill my car up. Someone's asked for what are your best tips for other drivers. Honestly, practice so much. I feel like you really have to build your confidence up. For ages when I first passed, I would just drive to school and back every day because that's the only place I really had to go. And then it just built my confidence up, and then obviously I started adding in driving to the gym. Yeah, I think then it just built my confidence up being on the road. The more time you're on the road, obviously the more experience you have. So I think that's probably my biggest tip, whether you're a learner or you've just passed, is to just practice loads, and then you've had experience in every situation, so there's nothing to be scared of. Have you had any bad experiences with other drivers? Not massively. There's a junction I have to do on the way to school every day and I don't like it, especially when it's busy. So there's a few times where I've been sat at that and I kind of block the road by sitting at the junction, and there's other drivers that have like pulled faces at me or whatever for not pulling out, but I'd rather just pull out in a gap that I feel safe in rather than rush it because someone else is doing it. So other than that, I don't really think I've ever had a bad experience with another driver. So I'm just editing this video and I wanted to say, when I had my learner plates on and my P plates on, I actually found other drivers were much worse. I think everyone underestimated me and wanted to overtake me, which obviously would be quite dangerous sometimes. However, since I took either of them stickers off and I just looked like a normal driver, not recently passed or anything, I've actually had very limited bad experiences because I'm just a normal driver then. So yeah, that's kind of where we fit with that. How have you found getting a car as a disabled person? For me personally, it was actually a really simple process with Motability. My mum was already registered to have the Motability car to obviously take me places before me, so we were already registered. It then just got passed to me. The whole process of finding a car was a little bit more tricky because of the amount of needs and the little tick list I had, but I have a whole video on that. What's my dream car? Now, I try not to have dream cars because when it comes to me, I think I would always pick the cars. I think I would always have to pick the cars that suit me the best. When I was looking for my car, some of the cars that would be more of a dream car, like we looked at an Audi at one point, which I was like, oh, would this be a dream first car? But I would have needed so many adaptations on it, and me personally, I wanted my car to look as normal as possible. So I think then it would have put me off it. So yeah, realistically, I don't really have a dream car because I'm just going to pick the car that's best for me. However, I do quite like the Range Rover. Is it Range Rover or Land Rover? I think it's a Range Rover. They're quite cool. Them ones with the doors that go up, that'd just be sick, wouldn't it? So like one of them like sportsy car. I think just a car that I'd ever get out of it and everything like that. One of them. But realistically, I don't think I'd ever be able to get one of them, not even financially. Well, that's another story. But I think with what I need, everyone was telling me when I did my car video, like, get a Tesla, get a Tesla. I was like, firstly, you buy me a Tesla and then we'll talk about it. Like, who tells a 17-year-old get a Tesla? Like, what salary do you think I'm on? But actually, looking at a Tesla, everyone's like, oh, these are such great cars. I'm not necessarily sure it would suit me as well as my Ford Focus does, because I think I'd actually need more support and more adaptations on a Tesla than a Ford Focus. It just depends. Which did you find the hardest to learn? Theory, hazard perception or practical? Honestly, my theory. I feel like after my first like driving lesson, I could drive. Like, I'm not saying I was great, but I could drive a car like pretty much straight away. So as for that, it was just practicing it and fine-tuning it. However, my theory and my hazard perception, I was still failing hazard perception tests the night before my theory test. I genuinely thought I could fail my theory test. I thought the chance of failing my practical test was relatively slim. Favourite parking techniques? Front bay park. Honestly, I don't think I can parallel park anymore. I'm not willing to try. I probably could still do a reverse bay park. I've not done one since my test. Oh no, I have. I reverse bay park at school. Reversing at school so I can pull out forwards. It's just easier. But I would always opt to forwards bay park. So that's my favourite. Any tips for the highway? Now, we don't have highways in the UK. Obviously, we have like ring roads, which is like a busy road. I've driven on a ring road. I haven't actually driven on a motorway yet, just because of COVID. And then we went into lockdown like a few months after I passed my test. So by the time I'd kind of developed the confidence to be driving on my own, to the point where I thought it was time to try a motorway, we went into lockdown and you weren't allowed to leave like and travel very far. So I haven't actually been on a motorway yet. I'm hoping when some of the lockdown restrictions lift a bit more, I will be able to go and practice on a motorway, because like I said, I don't want to be avoiding bits of driving because I think I'll just develop like phobias. And I need to be going places in my car, so I need to go on a motorway. So I'll update you all probably on my Instagram story once I've been on a motorway as to how I found it. So I think that's all the questions I'm going to answer at this point. Obviously, COVID has meant that I haven't got as much experience driving as I thought I would have in this time. Maybe I'll do another video in a year or so when I've had a little bit more practice, a little bit more experience, hopefully with COVID being gone. If you did enjoy this video, then make sure to like, comment, and also please subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in my next one. Bye!